What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set.
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencastr. Zencastr is the ultimate-based podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layered backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the One Set Podcast. We are back, and I'm here with my best friend, Jim Green. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother. Good to be back. Thank you for covering for me last week, and apologies that I was unavailable to make it.
Hey, no apologies here. I've been happy you've been able to cover while I've been at the new job and kind of settling in. And, I gave everybody a little bit of background to like the last couple weeks, and I feel like I'm just starting to settle in now. I've been back in the lab, just kind of observing a lot of things the last couple days. So it's been, with me just getting used to being in a brand new lab and just working my, things into getting used to being in a new space and everything. So it's been really cool and just learning and meeting new people where I'm part of like another project that's in there now at like outside of my own training. So like I'm starting to feel,
You're
connected.
acclimating to the workspace actually, rather than you're just doing training videos, right?
Yeah, so I'm starting to
Yeah.
adapt to like having a position and like meaning within the company now instead of just walking around like a noob, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's been pretty cool to know that, you're starting to settle in and feel at home with everything. You go in and you know what you got to do that day and what's today going to bring, what's that going to bring. So, the day that I had today was probably one of my busiest days, just going back and between like trainings and meetings. So I'm like, this is what I expected. This is what I wanted. I wanted to feel that, you know, I have a job that like I'm going to be in the lab. Then I'm like, okay, well, I got a meeting with the lab people to do this in the afternoon. And then I got this and that to do. So, just the busy schedule is something I was prepared for. So it's kind of been what I'm expecting.
Well, I'm glad that like your first week or two there, it wasn't like just absolutely overwhelming and bombarding you. 'Cause
Yeah, they definitely
it seems like
led you in a good way. They just didn't fully, just punch you right into it, like, all right, cool, you're right into it. Like they definitely eased you into it and with like some
they didn't throw you to the wolves, right?
readings. Yeah, and I'm still doing a lot of readings, and there's a lot of reading that I still have to do with like the standard operating procedures and different things that you have to read even before you're actually really getting into the labs. And then the training's a whole different thing of just being able to make sure you're able to work with all the instruments and refrigerators, incubators, and everything. So, I'm looking forward to it, but it still has a long way to go. Like I said, it's like an 8 to 12 week process. So, if anything, I'll probably be hoping to get like on the floor and actually like working in like the lab maybe by like January, like the end of January, and like somewhere in the end of January, February, if things all go well. So it'll be fun.
So before the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
which we're gonna talk about in
we
a
are
couple
going to
minutes.
talk a lot about. There's a lot of stuff that happened since we had last discussed. So we have a lot to talk about. We want to try to get in uh, on this episode. We're going to tackle some NFL real quick, and our Eagles definitely I'm going to say one, they definitely shut a lot of people up this past weekend with the whole Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown stuff. Because, it's one thing after the game last week, the Panthers. I think we can all agree it wasn't our best showing. And, it happens. It happens to the best teams. We have our bad games, we have our good games. But I think with AJ is saying that, I think the reporter was asking, oh, well, what's something on offense you guys can kind of work on or improve? He's like, passing. So automatically they think Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown have something to do with that. You know, I mean, you got a potential Hall of Famer on the field. He wants his touches, he wants his touchdowns, just like anybody else. That's understandable. But I think when you have a role and they know Saquon is running that offense to the ground pretty much over the last couple weeks. But I think and even me, I was saying a lot that, I was afraid that they're running it so much that when they do come to a team that finally says, okay, well, we just got to take away their run game and they have no passing game. This was the game to show, hey, don't forget we have a lot of weapons on this field that if you take away one, we can go to Saquon, we can go to AJ Brown, we can go to Devontae Smith, we can go to Jalen Hurts. You don't even know where we're gonna go. And that they even did that a lot during that game that, they would Jalen Hurts would fake the Saquon and Hurts would run for a couple, or he would fake the Saquon, go to Brown, fake it. So they would always be confusing the defense and they just manhandled the Steelers.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of expectation when you talk about that Panthers game, right?
Yeah.
Um, Everybody was expecting the Eagles to have a beyond dominant shutout kind of game
Right.
because I was looking at, and we're going to talk about the Lions obviously quite a bit.
Hmm.
I was looking up their schedule just to see like what their score differential looked like in a lot of their games, and you have two games that really stand out here, and the one is the Dallas game where they beat them 47-9. I mean, they won by
Right.
38 points. Okay, and then they beat the Titans 52-14. Again, 38 points. So
Uh-huh.
everyone was waiting for the Eagles to have a blowout game of
Hmm.
that caliber.
Yeah.
Um, and again, those blowout games were against Dallas and um, Tennessee.
That's it. Yes.
And yeah, so of course it's like, okay, those 38 point differential games are against really not great teams whatsoever, right? Uh,
Hmm.
the Panthers are in that same club, right, as the Cowboys and the Titans. So everyone was just expecting, and it was in Philly, right? So
Yeah.
at the link, so everyone was just waiting for this blowout game, and the Eagles only winning by 6. It was like everyone was starting not to panic, but it was just extremely concerning, like really concerning. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, let's just wait and see what happens with this Steelers game, right?
Hmm.
Everything that I'm reading, I mean, everything that I'm seeing, I watched a little bit of the post game live that NBC Sports Philly does, and they're like, oh, they just dominated the Steelers. And I had a work event last night, so I didn't get to watch all of the game. But even just watching the NFL highlights on YouTube, I was like, and I will say to qualify the statement, NFL is not like the NFL YouTube highlights. I think they're trying to be very balanced in the
Hmm.
showing. So even if there is a team, I mean, anyone's going to say, yeah, well, the Chiefs, they're always going to make look strong, right? Like Vince
Right.
McMahon, Vince McMahon make Roman Reigns look strong, make John Cena look strong, kind of thing,
Uh,
right? But in this case, it felt like watching the highlights from the game this morning, it felt like they were trying to make the Eagles and Steelers look equal, like even, which
hmm.
if you look at their records, they're not super far off, right? Like
Exactly.
I think the Steelers only have I think the Steelers have 4 losses and the Eagles have 2, right? I think Steelers are 10-4 and the Birds are currently 12-2.
Yeah.
So everyone is acting like we dominated the Steelers. I didn't see it like that, and maybe you can weigh in on that. In the first half hour that I got to watch the game, I saw the Eagles turn over the ball twice, and I was like, "This is not good."
Yeah, we didn't have a good first quarter. I missed the first fumble. I saw and witnessed the second one coming off the kick return. That's
See,
the one that I saw.
I saw the first one and then not the second one, and
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I can understand the second one because he just got hit and it looked like a pretty decent hit that he got. So I'm like, all right, well, they got one on us, but I didn't realize we had another fumble before that,
mhm,
and which obviously did not seem really good because it gave them field position. But on the controversy to that, the defense did, on those things keep them to just field goals for a little while until they actually scored. So I'm like, all right, well, at least the defense is doing what they're supposed to do and not letting them take advantage of those fumbles. So even though, the offense made some errors, our defense stepped up and was like, okay, we're going to get you out of this. So, our defense has just been really tight and knowing their role to, just, help us, get back on the field as fast as possible. Where I feel this time last year, I mean, we were at that point where everybody was just giving up and we just couldn't even tackle anybody. The offense couldn't get anything running. And, this year it's, you know, there's a lot more things that are clicking. There's a lot more, everybody is like on the same page again. So it's a totally different, more physical uh, Eagles team right now.
yeah, and I mean, obviously, if we were playing Russell Wilson from 10 years ago, an entirely different game.
Oh
Because
yeah, if you were playing a prime Russell Wilson in Seattle, totally different game.
yeah, and it's crazy to think that he only has 1 Super Bowl win because I know the Seahawks were a dominating team for a long
Yeah,
time. I
yeah.
mean, Pete Carroll was running that Seahawks organization.
Mhm.
Um, not running the organization, but he was commanding the team as head coach for quite some time. And
Uh-huh.
whenever the Eagles would see the Seahawks, I was like, "Yep, we're losing." For like
Easy, yeah, easy L. Yeah.
for a good 5 years from 2015 to 2020, I was like, "Yep, the Seahawks got us. Sorry, they're just too good." And
And I
Russell,
think they said that on WIP this morning too, saying that we finally beat Russell Wilson.
that's right. I did hear that. I did
So
hear that
saying that we
because
finally, I think it was like over the last couple of years we could never beat Russell Wilson. We finally beat him.
I think the record that they said was Russell Wilson was 6-0 coming into play the Eagles, and I was like, "All right, we got
Yeah.
Russell." I mean, Russell Wilson with the Steelers is not Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, right?
No,
Which
definitely. I'll agree with that. Definitely not. Totally different. Totally two different teams there. But yeah, a win's a win.
I mean, Pete Carroll and Mike Tomlin, I think, are both respectable coaches, right? Like Mike Tomlin
Hmm.
is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL.
Uh huh.
But yeah, I mean, I think Russell's just at like the end of his career, and he's good, but he's not great like he. And when
Yeah. I
I
mean,
say I say great, you know, I guess maybe
he's a
in
potential Hall of Famer for sure.
yeah in the realm of like um I think Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow is good, like last season
Uh
Joe
huh.
Burrow, or maybe 2 years ago Joe Burrow was like
Yeah.
just the Bengals. I think it was 2 years ago were
I think it was 2 years
I
where
think
they had the championship
they
run.
they, they had the AFC Championship.
Hmm.
Uh, I think they played Kansas City 2 years ago, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
2 years ago, the Birds went to the Super Bowl in 2022, right?
22. Hmm.
Yeah. So we're coming up on. I think it was the year after that, so 23 would have been. Yeah, so two seasons ago, Joe Burrow and the
Hmm.
Bengals were on like a really solid run. And I definitely think that Russell Wilson was like that caliber. Now, Josh Allen on the Bills, he's another story, man, because he is
Yeah.
just he's
When he's on and he's playing good, he is like a game killer.
I
he will definitely get you.
I gotta say, Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns, the 3 rushing and the 3 passing touchdowns.
Amazing.
I mean, and to lose the game today, Junior.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Yeah, to lose that game to the Rams 44-42. That's got to be crushing, man, because you're the first guy to get 3 rushing and 3 touchdowns, and you lose the game like that. That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
The Lions Bills game last night was, what was it, 45-38, I think was the final.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean the Lions were trying to keep up with the Bills. Just were the better team in the game last night. I think if that game were to happen again, which I guess wouldn't happen in the postseason unless that was the Super Bowl matchup, which I don't think is going to happen.
No. I honestly think if we're in the perfect world, I think we're going to get a rematch of the Chiefs and the Eagles.
That's if Pat Mahomes is playing.
Okay to play. Yeah,
but
because he just got injured this past week. But
I honestly think they might rest him for the next 3 games. And Andy Reid is like, I'm not worried about the seeding in the postseason. If we could just keep Mahomes healthy the next 3 weeks and just let him rest, then he'll be good to go in the postseason. And postseason Kansas City is like Patriots from 10, 15 years ago. Postseason, just like undeniable.
Yeah.
Right? Like just you weren't betting against the Patriots 10 and 15 years ago in the postseason, right? It's just, I mean, because I think there was a long stretch there where the Patriots were just always in the postseason, right? So,
yeah, I was just trying to look up who the Chiefs have in the last 3 weeks. So the Chiefs have the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos. So, I mean,
the Broncos are on an upswing. So,
yeah. Texans are meh. Steelers, it can go either way, but I mean, you're playing the Chiefs, but they're playing in Pittsburgh.
That's if Mahomes doesn't play, the Steelers could certainly win that.
They could scoop that game up. Yeah. I mean, if anything, I would definitely, depending on how Mahomes is, I would sit him at home with the Texans this next week. If he's good to go against the Steelers, cool. If not, I mean, I'm not sure with all their other players how injury prone everybody else is on the Chiefs right now. I think they're considerably healthy. But then, well, even if you have to, I would usually sit him the week before the playoffs. So if you're going to give him one game out of these next 3, depending on how his health is, I would just play him in the Steelers. See how he is.
Yeah.
But
I think
we'll have to see what his extent. I didn't really get a chance to see the extent of his injury. If it's, I don't think it's season ending or it's a matter of how many weeks he's going to be out.
I think it's just I think what I heard is it's just day to day. Like they're just assessing it day to day kind of thing.
Yeah. So if anything, depending on how they feel, I would sit him the next week just to give him that rest, see if he's ready for the Steelers, and then give him another week rest for the week, depending on, where you are in the seedings. Sit him the last week, be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think number one, I don't want to see the Eagles play the Ravens in the Super Bowl. And
I don't either. No.
And then number 2, I don't want to see the Eagles play the Bills either.
I think it would be a good game, but yeah, I mean,
that's a scary game, right?
It is.
I would much rather see the Chiefs game just on merit that like beating the Chiefs would just be the poetic justice for 2 years ago where we lost by a field goal, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
we definitely need some redemption with that. But we were talking before the recording that, now we are, obviously at this point, the Vikings have beat the Bears. So now we have a 3-way tie into the first place spot for the NFC conference.
That's just based on the record number, right?
Record, yeah. And now we're getting to the point where if the Eagles want to lock in that first place, most of the time they have to win out these last three games between the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Giants, which I think, obviously, with the way they've been playing, is perfectly possible. Going into this, me and Jim have been, we did our prediction record uh back before the season,
Back
and
in
at this point,
August, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, at this point in our season, I think we were clocking them at 12-5, and I think you had maybe I think you had them at like 7 or 8 wins at this point. So we're still a little off, but uh none of us predicted a 10-game winning streak at
Yeah.
this point.
Uh, franchise record right there. I had them going 10-6 after the Steelers game, and 10-6. No, I had them going 8-6.
Right.
I had them going 8-6 after the Steelers game. You had them at uh, you had them at 10-4.
Uh,
So you're
a little closer, but
you're definitely
again,
close to
would have
that.
never thought going 10 games straight winning, because like I said, there's no way we're at that point, when we were still winning, I'm like, there's no way they're going to beat this Ravens team. And we came in just manhandle them. It's to the point, and we gave them like now, because I can see the Lincoln Financial Field right from the parking lot at work. I was one of the ones that saw like all the purple lit up in the Lincoln Financial. I didn't think of it until later that night. I saw somebody on a reel saying like, how badass is it to be for the Philadelphia Eagles to put out purple lights to say "F you" to to the Ravens, that we beat you.
That's
Like,
so
I
good.
never even thought of that. Like, because I'm like, oh, purple, that's nice. But I'm like, oh wait, they were doing it because they beat the Ravens, duh.
Yeah,
But so I'm like, oh, that's a good clap back.
yeah. GTFOH, right?
Exactly.
GTFOH, pretty
So
much.
yeah, that was a big win. And then LA Rams, Steelers. We've just been on a roller coaster of a ride this since the bye week. I don't know what happened within that bye week, but something just clicked with the whole team, and we've just been on a bandwagon of you know craziness. Now, uh, you know, again, there's three more weeks, then we get into the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. You know, when you're in playoffs, it's one and done. So you got to always be in your top game. But uh, they've been saying this for the last couple weeks or a month or so, that if it were the Cinderella story, it's going to be the final four of the Bills and Chiefs and the Detroit Lions and the Eagles. So I think in our aspect, if we want to try to have the best advantage of us to go to the Super Bowl, we need to lock in that first uh, place spot for the NFC conference
Yeah,
without a doubt. Because
yeah,
if we are gonna be facing Detroit, we need to make sure that's in Philly
yeah. That'd
for
be
sure. That it's going to be hard to go into Detroit and try to beat them.
for the NFC Championship. Detroit is just going to be off the freaking rails,
Yeah. So if
and
we can bring that game to Philly, I will be more than confident that we can pull that off, because one, the Lions have a harder schedule going down the stretch, and I think they have a couple injuries on their end that they're working with too, where you know we've had some injuries, but nothing to the point. I mean, other than Brandon Graham, which is a big loss, uh, but I
we've been
think,
still winning games in his absence, right?
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and
So
that's just like you were saying. If we drop someone here, our team is still really full. It's really complete,
uh-huh.
and that's what the talk around the NFL is now. Is that the Eagles might be arguably the most complete team. I mean, we have like
Hmm.
our defense has really stepped up in the last 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah,
That's been pivotal in our wins in those tougher games,
right.
like Baltimore, LA, and Pittsburgh. Our defense has just been so solid, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy the way we've been playing, and like I said in the beginning, that you know, you can't not say that we have a passing game in our arsenal when we want. And I feel Jalen's comment saying that, you know,
So
he
that's what
doesn't
y'all wanted to see, huh?
that, and even last week's how he was being told about like the passing game and everything. He's like, well, I really don't have a say in it. It's just basically the defense tells me what to do. So if the defense tells me to run, I'm going to run. The defense tells me to pass, I'm going to pass. It's just so happens the last couple weeks we've been really happy. So you've been seeing Saquon really taking over a lot of these games. But after that, with all the Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown talk, even it was like the first 4 plays they gave it to AJ Brown. I think 2 out of those 3. So you knew they were definitely going to start going pass heavy in this game. And I think the Steelers had a good a good pass defense, and we just were scoring uh pretty well. Again, other than the 2 fumbles we had, and we haven't been a team that really starts off strong this year. We'll give them that with the Eagles. If we have to really say some negatives about the Eagles in this episode, that we still don't really start off strong that we would want to. But
We're
we're always
scoring in the first quarter at least.
we're starting to score in the first quarter, but we've always been a second half team. Whether we're trailing from behind or if we have a little bit of a lead, we always usually wake up in the second half, and that's when we start pulling away, if we are. But again, I still think we have a solid team that for us doing that, we keep, once we get into that zone, we're locked in, and you won't be able to stop them.
I really just think that the coordinators, the offense and defensive coordinators,
Yeah,
are evaluating and assessing the team in the first quarter, and then their play calling is adjusting,
to the
espe-
second half. Yeah,
especially after halftime. They're going in with a plan. They're talking to Sirianni, and they're conferencing like, "Let's do this," or Sirianni's not making any calls at all.
right. You could just be like, yeah, you guys just do this, and I'll be on, I'll
Like,
be on the comm, acting like I'm talking to anybody, but I'm just gonna be talking to nobody. Like,
I'll decide to go for a extra 2 points, just randomly for no
whoopsie.
reason. I don't
Exactly
know.
right. Like, okay, Nick, we're gonna take you off this call. So,
All right, one of us has to go, and it's you.
yeah, and it's you. Like,
Um, yeah, I just sorry, lost my train of thought there. I think the one thing that we should talk about is Saquon Barkley totaling like 65 yards, so he is just below pace now to beat the record.
yeah.
And albeit the record was set in the 16 game season era.
Hmm.
Uh, sorry. Um, what is Eric Dickerson, 1984. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So it'd just be really cool 40 years later if Saquon does it, but you're going to get people that are saying, well, it took him 17 games instead of 16 games to get there.
Right.
Just because this past weekend he didn't have that many yards because it was a much more pass happy game. And
Right.
I shouldn't say pass happy. To me, it was more so just proving a point. Like, yeah, no, we can pass the ball. We can put the ball in the air.
Hmm.
Um,
And Jalen's accuracy has been really on point too, and that's something that I think even last year and even in the 2022 season, I think still had some accuracy problems where he would be overthrowing the ball and underthrowing the ball. I feel his targets have been a lot more on point this year.
well, he got picked off quite a bit last year. Should we talk about that Seahawks game? Because I know
Yeah,
we roared about that one quite a bit.
right.
Um, so yeah, I Saquon has just been the talk of the Eagles. So it's been kind of nice that it like lightened up on him this week, and it's just illuminating that we can win the game without relying on him to help
Yeah.
get us there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Especially in a game against a team that we thought would be tough competition against the Steelers. So being that they were coming in 10-3, and now they're 10-4, right?
Yeah.
So we were 11-2 coming in, and they were 10-3. So the records were really close. So to beat the Steelers without Saquon really doing a lot of the damage should tell you something right there.
Yeah, that I mean, we have all these weapons on the team, but we don't need to use them every game in order to win games. We can, you know, rely on one or two of them, and then if that happens into another game, we might need Saquon and Devontae Smith, and AJ doesn't really get much, or it can be Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, just like the last game, and Saquon takes a little bit of a rest, or it's Saquon and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are blocking for most of the night. We have, and then you still have Jalen doing his runs here and there. So again, it's like the defense can never really tell what's going on because we have so many threats that we can pull at you, and AJ Brown will just spin off anybody. So he's going to get open somewhere. And the fact that uh, Jalen will most likely also be looking for him more often coming down the stretch. AJ will definitely be getting some touches more.
And
So
Devonta Smith was great too in this
yeah,
game.
oh yeah.
Um,
I think Barkley, he didn't get injured, but I think that one tackle that he took at the end zone where somebody came up to the side of him and just like flipped him right on his shoulder. And now it's to the point where I'm like getting scared that like they're gonna hurt Barkley because they know he's one of their main offensive people, so they're just gonna start gunning for him.
yeah, unless Barkley told the coaches during the week, like, yeah, I know I'm not 100%, and they were like, okay, let's reassess our plan, and they started finding plays in
Yeah,
which they could put the ball in the air a little bit more and like lay off Saquon a little bit. To which, like, keeping him healthy and getting us to the Super Bowl and him being, you know, ready to go for that game is more the priority than him beating the record,
yeah,
right? So
yeah. Hopefully, also by week 3, well, by the last week, depending if we had outright beat Washington and Dallas, hopefully, we can, you know, put a fork in the Giants and then be able to sit most of our starters the rest of the game and just let, you know, the rookies and the second string guys just, hold out the rest of the game for us so that Jalen and everybody can get some rest and go into the playoffs, as healthy as possible.
yeah. If you let's look at the seeding if it stood right now, like if the playoffs were this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Here it is. Okay. Um Lions would get the bye. Eagles would play the Commanders. The the seeding the seeding is listed. Okay, it's the page I'm looking at has the Vikings as the fifth seed, but they've clinched a playoff berth, so that's all I'm seeing here. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles and Commanders is still the thing. Um, the Buccaneers are the third seed. This third seed, fourth seed thing is just hilarious because third seed is the Bucks and they're 8-6, and then the fourth seed is the Rams that are also 8-6. They're just the division leaders for the NFC South and the NFC West, respectively.
Yeah,
So the Bucks will play the Packers, and the Vikings will play the Rams. Which I think the Vikings and Rams game in the postseason in the
that'll
wild
be
card round,
nice.
that'll be something to watch. The Bucks and Packers. I mean, that to me is a Packers win, but
Mm-hmm.
um, they'd be playing in Tampa, so Tampa will get an edge. But I think the Packers are pretty strong all around. I think that we just are slightly better.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a good time to be watching football. A lot of stuff is going to be happening. Teams have to win, teams have to lose for certain other teams to get in. This is a great time to be watching for a football fan because
Yeah.
there's so many. Not even just your team, but you got to be watching other teams now to see about how they're going to do it. And it helps other teams do that. So
Yeah, I'm not even that interested in watching the remaining three games for the Birds because, well, the Commanders game on Sunday will be like one to watch, and it's a 1 o'clock game. So, um, That'll be nice.
Yeah.
But then the Dallas game and the Giants game after that, I'm like, the other games where like the seeding really makes a difference. I know that the seeding makes a difference for the Birds to get that first seed, but if they didn't, just seeing if the Commanders stay in or if they get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
But the Commanders would have to do relatively terrible. I know they play us, in which if we beat them, and the Seahawks can do some. I think the Seahawks schedule is kind of rough down the stretch from when I was looking earlier. But all in all, I definitely think it's going to be Lions and Birds at the NFC Championship game. I don't see it any other way.
Yeah, that's what it seems. But you know, again, I can't keep emphasizing it. I'm looking forward to these next 3 weeks, and there's gonna be some good games, and there's gonna be a lot of changes. So, and then going into the playoffs, hopefully we have the first round bye, and that'll help us, at least get further down into the lane. But then, depending on who we got to play after that, that'll definitely start setting ourselves up to be like, okay, uh, you know, we have a lot of potential to win this year, but you still got to get through your teams even before you get there. So, like I said, I think if you put your emphasis, depending on who you got to play before the Lions, then when you're, worrying about them, worrying about the Lions, that's when you're like, okay, like, hey, this is what we're. This is not necessarily the roadblock that we have to get through to get to the Super Bowl, but this is what we were expecting. So let's get the tape, start watching tape, get ready, and depending if we're in but like I said, hopefully it's in Philly because that'll give us so much more of an advantage than instead of going down to Detroit and trying to win a conference game.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun watch either way because for me, I am very much like if the Lions are going to the Super Bowl, um, I'm going to want them to win because they they've not been to the Super Bowl once. I think in like the last 50 years or something like that. Um, so for them to get their first, I think it might be their first ever. I think I was reading that yesterday. Um, I'm I'm pretty sure that's right. And then the Bills have been in. Now I feel like I'm wrong about this. I feel like I'm mixing up. I read a big article on the Lions and the Bills getting to the Super Bowl, and I'm getting them a little mixed up. But I do like Dan Campbell as the coach. He's a little bit aggressive with his fourth down, like go for it, which really kind of like effed him in the A. Yeah, let's edit that one out.
Yeah.
I think it really backfired in that San Francisco NFC Championship game last year. Him just going for it on fourth down, and it's like, dude, you could have punted it and just saved yourself instead of turning the ball over to San Francisco.
Yep.
In San Francisco territory or just close in midfield.
Like I said, always take the points. You
Yeah.
can always do stuff down the road, but if you have a chance to get points on the board, take the points because you never know if you're ever going to get that opportunity again. They could just be dominating you for the rest of the time, where you could have had a potential 3 points on there that could have really decided the game. But
all in all,
yeah.
I think go Birds. I'm looking forward to the next 2 months, right? Because I think the Super Bowl is it February 17th. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, I think it's usually either the first weekend or the second weekend in February. But knowing that we have the Royal Rumble on February 1st, I would like to think, obviously, sports entertainment wise, they would have caught on to that. Be like, okay, we can't do it the same weekend as that. So I probably think it's the second week in February, whatever that second.
Okay, it's February 9th. So
okay,
less
so it's
than
the
2
week
months
after.
away.
Yep.
Speaking of the Royal Rumble, shall we dive into some WWE talk?
Yeah, man. Things are starting to get dicey, especially if we're talking about the Royal Rumble. we can probably do a quick prediction of who we think our Rumble winners are. And I'm excited to say, I mean, if anybody, obviously at this point, you probably should have because it's coming on a Friday, but we have new tag championship contenders that just won tonight on Raw, the War Raiders. And me and Jim were talking, and we're pretty stoked to have them in their second title reign.
Yeah, they're the champions. It wasn't contenders, but yeah,
Right, yeah.
they won the titles from Finn and JD. I thought it was great. The match was booked super well.
Mhm.
War Raiders looked really strong. Couple moments that it was like, oh, JD hits the moonsault, Finn hits the coup de grace, and I was like, that's the end. They're wrapping it up here, and
Yeah.
they're just retaining. And then I forget who broke up the count. I think it was Eric. Came in to break up the count on Ivar, and I was like, "Oh shoot, the War Raiders might win." You said the same thing before we started recording. You're like,
keep going back and forth.
You just kind of knew after they broke up the pinfall for that double top rope massacre,
The moonsault and the coup de grace. Yeah, I'm like, okay. After that, I'm like, oh, they're winning now. That's great.
Finn goes to get the chair. I thought the camera angle was really good.
Mm-hmm.
They showed him not being able to get the chair, and then they pan over and they show Damien, and I'm like, War Raiders got this in the bag.
Yeah.
Because the rest of Judgment Day was banned from ringside, which I think was great. They're definitely playing into that. They open up, not that they open up Raw, but after the CM Punk Seth brawl that ensued, we had Finn backstage, and Liv was like, Finn was saying, where were you guys this past weekend? For Saturday Night Main Event triple threat match with Gunther. Gunther and Priest. So there's dissension in the Judgment Day. Now you have them losing the belt, so it's just going to make everything messier within there.
Yep.
Which I think all of that is boiling down to Liv dropping the belt at Mania. Like it seems like the long-term plan is going to be that's leading to dissension in the Judgment Day of sorts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like the slow build that they're going to do, and something's going to brew that. I still think we're going to get some, action between Liv and Dom kind of breaking up probably within that time too. Because I still feel that Liv is going to do something to actually start, a thing with Finn Balor, like becoming, his, side piece
whatever.
girlfriend, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see. And just the road to WrestleMania in general. There's a lot that is staple. We still haven't even got anything set in stone about what WrestleMania is going to be like yet, but
I think the Raw kickoff on Netflix January 6th is going to be the telling moment.
You can already tell they're starting to stack that with a lot of heavy hitters.
Yeah, we're getting the Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa tribal combat match, which I think is basically a lumberjack match, but you have the bloodlines surrounding the ring, basically. I definitely think The Rock's coming out there. All of the Raw to Netflix, like for the premiere, promo videos, they have The Rock saying "finally," just like real casually, which to me is just like, okay, he's gonna be there. They got John Cena all over it. So I think we're getting Rock and Cena. We're getting that Roman and Solo match, and we're getting CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And I think they're going to load up like the premiere and just do like they're going to have all of that going on January 6th, and they're going to try to like really, really just put all their eggs in that first episode.
It'll definitely be packed, kind of like the debut of SmackDown on USA. They had Kofi dropping the Brock Lesnar on it in a squash match.
The SmackDown on Fox debut, yeah.
Fox, yeah.
Yep, that was yeah, and you knew that first month when they were on Fox, you could tell every episode felt like really important. So I think basically the whole season leading up to Mania on Netflix is gonna be like every episode's overall is gonna be good. Now, the January 6th episode, I gotta say, it's probably gonna be 3 hours, right? Like
That's
that
what I'm clocking it as. It's definitely going to be back to 3 hours.
at least for that first episode. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know if I mean, I'm sure that they know now. Maybe they don't, but I'm sure Netflix is like, how long are we doing here? Like,
Right.
I know Triple H was trying to gauge. I thought these 2 hour episodes of Raw have been great. Definitely helps with us recording and getting on here and getting started a little bit sooner.
Yeah, it does
Um,
help. Mhm.
but should we run through just briefly Saturday Night Main Event? I,
Yeah, I
we,
enjoyed it.
we,
I thought it was a great pay-per-view, and we were watching it and texting back and forth through it, but I really enjoyed the fact that they had shorter times for the matches just to fill in a lot of matches within that 2-hour period. And you didn't get a lot of like drawn out stuff. That was just pretty much straight to the point. Kick it off, get somewhere, get it out of there. So I liked the all the times of the matches. I thought they all kind of went like their reasonable amount of time. You didn't have anything really dominating, being like because sometimes your main event will be the longest match. I still even think that match was still at a good pace and it ended at a good time.
yeah, your shortest match on the card was 8 minutes and 5 seconds. That would be Chelsea Green winning the inaugural Women's United States Championship match. Congratulations to her. I think it was the right move.
I think so too. After because I think when I was saying last week that my gut's going with Chelsea, but I can't not think Bailey's going to win it. But I'm just glad they gave it to an actual mid Carter.
I and I think that the way that the women's IC bracket is looking on Raw, um, it looks like they're going that same route just to give that they got a lot of mid card women, so you'll get a lot of
Mm,
really good feuds to build for those two titles. Um, just gives them a little bit of extra value.
yeah.
Your shortest match was at 8 minutes and 5. Your longest match was the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens match that was 12 minutes flat, which I was like, yeah, these match lengths, like as you said, perfect. That 2 hour time
Yeah.
window, it's like cool. We are watching Saturday Night Main Event, and it is like important matches, and
Hmm.
it's just wrestling. All of the storytelling build, leave it on Raw and SmackDown. We get these Saturday Night Main Event matches that are really just matches. They're not doing a whole lot of angles with the feuds. Um, although we got the Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes after Saturday Night Main Event, because I'm sitting there waiting to see if they're doing anything, and then it just goes to the copyright, and I'm like, oh, okay, nope, that's it, they're done. And
Hmm.
then the Sunday, the day after, it was like that morning, it was like, oh, look what Kevin Owens did to Cody Rhodes. He did a package pile driver to him, and now they're saying Cody Rhodes is out, and Cheyenne's like, oh my god, he's really hurt, and I'm like, yeah, no,
No.
he's starting his Christmas vacation early.
Right. Yeah. To say the least. Yeah.
To say the least. Yeah. Um, but yeah, before we started recording, didn't realize that Motor City Machine Guns um, defeated A Town Down Under. I guess that was like a pre-show that wasn't even on Peacock match. Like it was just a dark match that they did beforehand.
Right.
So they retained the tag titles. Drew McIntyre defeats Sami Zayn. That match felt pretty quick to me. I guess I was just expecting it to go longer because it was like
Yeah.
it was formatted like a pay-per-view. But then once the second match was pretty short, I was like, all right, either they're allowing a long time for the main event, or all the matches are just shorter, and they all
Hmm.
wound up being 8 to 12 minutes. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great Saturday night like thing to tune into, because
Yeah.
you didn't have to spare 3 to 4 hours on a PLE. Couple hours, great matches. Gets the talent on NBC, like
Yep.
regular cable TV. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Can't really say too many bad things about it. I think everything flowed, everything, the matches were good, and you know, I'm looking forward to how they implement them more into the schedule next year.
Got to give a shout out. Liv Morgan defeated Io Sky. We knew Liv wasn't dropping the belt right then and there to Io. Thought the match was really good.
Hmm.
Got to give props to Gunther, man, for saving Damien on that power bomb. I mean, he was going to power bomb him into the steel steps, and um, something in the timing doing that power bomb to the steel steps. It was just off timing, and Damien wasn't all the way up, but Gunther held him and protected him. And
Yeah,
I did read from the what's the ringside news
yeah.
does their rumors for the day. I check them at like 1 a.m. in the morning sometimes, or I check it first thing when I wake up the next morning. Gunther had received a lot of praise backstage for that save. He's getting his accolades for that. So shout out to him. Talked about Chelsea Green. The Cody Rhodes Kevin Owens match I thought was really good. Like for what it wasn't like it felt important, and it was the main event. And after the package pile driver to Cody, it just definitely seems like I feel like we're gonna get Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton in a triple threat of some sort. Maybe at the Rumble, or maybe that's like the on the back burner if The Rock can't do WrestleMania kind of thing. Like that might be the route that they go.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that because Randy can be out for a couple more weeks to a couple months, probably end up in the chamber, something like that as a surprise, and you get a lot of things going that way too. But you always got to have that backup for The Rock. So I wouldn't be mad if they do the three-man thing for that instead of the Rock match. But
That's the simplest answer that I have.
mhm.
Um,
Unless something else comes by it, but that's seems like the way to go by it right now because you still have to wait for Randy to come back to give his explanation on how he feels about Cody too.
yeah, the only other thing I can think is if they do pull the trigger on the Rock Roman thing for this WrestleMania, just to get it out of the way, because they're doing
Yeah.
all the Ulafalu stuff with Roman and Solo right now. You might just get the Rock show up on January 6th on Raw on Netflix, and that might just kick
I
off.
don't see why he does not appear on January 6th unless it's a scheduling thing, but if he's free, I don't see why not you don't put The Rock on that.
Yeah, and to me, it feels like let's get this Rock Roman match over with, and then you have The Rock go after Cody Rhodes, maybe beat him for the belt at SummerSlam, and then you get The Rock and Cody at 42, and then
Mhm.
that's golden. And let's quickly just do our Rumble predictions. Who we think is going to win? I know mine. Do you
Yeah, you
have
can go
yours?
first.
I mean, it very much feels Rhea Ripley for the women's.
That's what I got too. Rhea Ripley.
And it just feels like John Cena to me. Like give him one more Rumble win, have him go after Gunther. Like you said, Randy going into the chamber. That way, there is speculation about who gets to face Randy for his title at Mania. Because last year's Rumble winner was Cody, and he wound up going after the WWE. I guess that was it was the WWE title on SmackDown. So
Yeah.
the Rumble winner this year being John Cena and him going after the Raw champion being Gunther just makes sense.
Yeah.
And in that way, the chamber feud is built for the SmackDown title instead of the Raw title, which is what it was last year.
Right. Yeah. If not John Cena for me, I'm trying to think. Who could be somebody potential for a Rumble winner.
I don't think it's going to be Brock Lesnar. I'll just say that.
Mm-mm.
I would be shocked for sure, but I feel like if if we were going to get Brock Lesnar versus Gunther, then you have, say, maybe Randy Orton win the Rumble, and then he goes on to face Cody or
That
some.
was one of my thoughts of like, okay, maybe either giving it to Randy Orton or Owens, and just letting them two be the final two and just battle out, and Randy gets the Rumble win, and then that's when you can start having him to question, oh well, I might not give it to Cody, I'll go towards the other one, and then obviously something happens where you eventually get Randy Orton versus Cody, or you still have the optional three-way talk of it too.
Okay, yeah. Just thinking about how they're promoting the Elimination Chamber in Toronto, and it's John Cena's last time in Toronto. Sounds like John Cena is winning the Elimination Chamber in Toronto. Okay, so
Right.
in that sense, you have Kevin Owens declaring for the Royal Rumble, and he goes in, and Randy Orton comes out at number 30, and the last two are Kevin
Yeah.
Owens and Randy Orton. Have them both go out and land at the same time, like John Cena and Batista did. I don't think you remember that because it was like kind of when you were not paying attention.
Yeah.
Not when you weren't watching, just
Mhm.
generally. Have Randy Orton and Kevin Owens land at the same time.
Oh yeah. When Cena and what was it, Batista?
Yeah, when they both land at the same time.
Yeah, I wasn't watching, but I know of that moment.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you can definitely have the Randy Kevin Owens thing. You had Cody Rhodes and CM Punk the last two last year. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton being the last two this year makes total sense. And then you set up that triple threat with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here for it. You get John Cena versus Gunther, and you get The Rock and Roman for the Tribal Chief, like Ulafau, like indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
Those three matches, and CM Punk and Seth Rollins being like the four big matches. Obviously, Rhea and Liv, right? That sounds like a good Mania card for at the moment. Yeah, if I don't see John Cena not chasing one of the titles at WrestleMania, being that it's his last one and he's chasing number 17. The story's written all over it. Right?
He's gonna get it at some point next year, just to say. I mean, if it's not a WrestleMania moment, it could happen.
At
In and around
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I don't see how they don't give him a small title run, like a Goldberg type of thing, where it's like just a month or two just to say that he got it, and then he it could possibly be like that last pay-per-view that gets him the send off, and the championship gets sent off to another guy that is like passing on the torch type of thing.
Yeah, I also don't see why John Cena can't win it at SummerSlam and then hold it until December, because his contract runs out December of 2025. So
Mm-hmm.
I would not be mad about him vacating the title to retire, and then the Royal Rumble declares the winner. Like they could, like the Royal Rumble declares the champion of that title that he vacates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't hate it. Exciting stuff, man. No matter which way that we position our predictions and our brainstorming of like the booking, I have confidence that we won't be disappointed.
No, just like the NFL right now, it's going to start getting to the point where there's going to be so many different scenarios in these, road to WrestleManias, the Rumbles, and this, like, I think there's a lot of different ways and options that this season's going to go, and I'm looking forward to it. It's fun time to be a sports fan or entertainment fan, because you got WWE rolling into one of their biggest things of the year. You got the Super Bowl, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's good stuff. It's good shit.
It's such good shit. I mean, yeah, we got Saturday, February 1st for the Royal Rumble, and then the following Sunday, February 9th for the Super Bowl. Like those 2 weekends back to back is like,
Stoked.
ooh, we gonna be eating good, man. We
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
eating good.
Stoked.
And with that, shall we wrap this one up?
Yeah, man, let's do that. Thank you all for being here. Another episode in. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to subscribe or feel free to support the Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. We are here every Friday uploading episodes, and you can follow us on social media at at onesetpod.com, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and hit us up on our Gmail with any feedback or suggestions, and hit up our Patreon. We're going to be doing some more free watch alongs with you guys, and we're going to be giving you guys some advice to ask us how we can better perform with the Patreon. What we got some ideas, but we also want to see your feedback to see how we can improve it or what we can do more. And if anything, buy some merch. Go to our link, pick up some merch for yourselves. It is the Christmas season, so if you want to give somebody a special one set hoodie or one set shirt, pick that sucker up.
Yeah, that's right. And if you go to Walmart, you can get this really sweet Snoop Dogg wrapping paper. Just saying.
Yeah, essential.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. As always, is this the last episode of us together before the break, or
This
or
one
do we got
is
one more?
This one's December 20th. We'll have one more for everyone on the 27th next week.
Yeah.
Before the new year. And then out we will be recapping. There's two episodes between, it's the episode after Christmas and the episode after the new year. We've got two of them coming out for everybody. And then the week after that, we will be covering Raw on Netflix on January 6th. And that episode will be coming out Friday, January 10th. And that one will be our season 4 premiere. And what a great episode that will be. We're already looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're stoked.
Yeah, and we'll have plenty of football to talk about too, because the regular season will have wrapped up. So all of the postseason football brackets will be slated.
Yeah,
that's what a fun first episode.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, guys. So tune in, subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. This has been One Set.
All the love, everybody.